Alright, so I think I've settled on my take for the moment, which is that noted, but I think it sometimes does that when I get my password wrong, so let's double check. Why now doesn't say you've gotten your password wrong, I'm not certain. But yeah, so I'm going to mess with the format of these a little bit. Basically, the start of the game, you've seen a million times, I've done a million times. I'm thinking this, I'm going to just put on a YouTube video in the background, I'm going to just listen to stuff, which is kind of what I did last time. Maybe turn it back on for things like the Spider Queen fight, but mostly just remain silent. And then when we start getting to more interesting places, like Gnarled Forest, etc., then I'm going to come back in. But as it is, yeah, I wasn't hating the format last time of I come on when actually things start to get a little bit more interesting, and maybe I put these precursor videos as kind of unlisted in a playlist. I mean, if you're seeing this, that's probably what I've already done, unless I decided against this and just released this to YouTube, in which case this bit at the start's useless. So, kind of in any event, this bit at the start is useless, unless I, actually do some editing and cut this little bit at the start and then put it somewhere else. But that editing, that's hard. That's hard and that's scary, and I don't like that. So that's probably not going to happen. What do we also call this new season of Hardcore Nexus Universe? Also, 100%. I do realise that having hardcore repeatedly in my name, like, that feels like something that like, I don't know if that's, as someone who kind of ambassadors for the server, if that's necessarily the vibe I want to be getting. But there is that, I don't know. I don't want to give people the excuse to add hardcore as a prefix to whatever other names they might come up with for their characters, because that seems dangerous. So yeah, I don't know. What are we going with? You know what? Do I have enough for name? I do. Cool. What can I say? It's good to be back. Yeah, I last time, like, it was such a series, but also, like, kind of last time I was doing this, it was very much a case of, like, the server, if I recall correctly, for a lot of that time, that was during the point in BLU where, like, it had a, like, huge dip in players. There weren't anywhere near as many people, so it's like I could do whatever. I could be a little bit less concerned. Now I'm back, and Nexus Universe is something that I've advertised, and I guess I'm still advertising based on it still being on my channel. I'm a little bit more paranoid as to how I present myself. But yeah, that's what we're doing, I guess. We're back with another one, and yeah, I'm just going to run through the start of this game as normal. One thing I do want to do, and I'm totally going to forget to do, is double check number of times smashed. Double check whether that does go up when I interact with the Shadow Orb. I'm pretty certain it does, but if I can remember, ideally it would be great to check that before and after, because I'm fairly certain I did it after... I did check number of times smashed after the... I'm going the wrong way because I'm autopiloting. You think autopilot would take me the right way, but it's been so long since I've done these that it's definitely taken me the wrong way. I'm also going to see... So my plan at the moment is to set a couple of... So I've recorded some stuff, set these to upload overnight, and then in possibly, like, the most prepared I've been for something since we were doing, like, the main Ninja LU channel when I was working with Vicey to actually run that properly, because Vicey knew what he was doing. I'm actually going to see if I can... if I can save one of these and just drop it over Christmas in case people are bored, or like, yeah, basically just in case people are bored. I somehow imagine that the the Ninja of LU viewing session around the Christmas dinner table probably isn't going to happen. I mean, let me know if you decide as a family that that's one thing you can kind of really all come together around in the Christmas season. But yeah, I doubt I'll have time to do... Well, if I'm recording stuff around Christmas, it definitely won't be... Nah, I suck at that jump. That jump is one that I've just never understood, really. I'm sure I could probably try and do a release midair to try and make it, but... Yeah. But, if you do decide you're watching this over a Christmas dinner, you know what? Valid. I mean, I can imagine there's probably better stuff you could watch, but if you decide to, I'm on it. And also, like, I don't know. There are a million reasons people might not be having a large group of people together around a table at Christmas, and that is incredibly valid. Yeah. Wow, that just put me into full-on introspection mode there. We normally try and keep that out of these videos. Because, to be fair, that's not true. That's not true. People who were here at the really early days of Ninja Warlog will remember when it was just me talking about stuff. And kind of, not entirely, but pretty significantly bearing my heart to the camera, as it were, aside from the lack of camera. But yeah. Yeah, I kind of... tempted to call this as the opportunity to just put something on in the background. It is weird. If I get my head into the headspace of recording a video, I will just kind of talk indefinitely, especially it depends what I'm doing. So I was just recording some I decided, you know what? So yeah, for those who don't know, I've played very, very few games in the grand scheme of things outside of LEGO Universe. I have played a significant portion of my childhood was spent on Roblox, spent on Minecraft. A significant portion of my lockdown was spent on Minecraft. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time on I don't know. I'd almost want to describe it as do-it-yourself games, which a lot of these aren't necessarily, but like LU, for instance, the fun of LU is not necessarily in its incredibly detailed mechanics and combat system. It is instead... Why does my backpack did just look weird? Okay, sure. It's not in anything the developers intended. Well, to be fair, I don't know really what the developers did intend, right, to be the draw of this. I mean, that sounds awful, but to be very clear, their remit from LEGO was essentially, hey, World of Warcraft exists. What if World of Warcraft but LEGO? And it's got to be therefore easy enough because it's for LEGO. It's got to be... Oh no. I knew I was kind of playing with fire here, but it's got to be easy enough for kids to pick up and enjoy. And that's... And so it's kind of and it can't have any too complicated themes. So I'm never going to claim they didn't do a good job of making a game, because they did make a game that is kind of bursting with fun. But it's also certainly not necessarily the deepest game, because it was, I think, the direction they were given. I don't know, in terms of just the vibes I've always gotten is it's... I don't know, I've never really thought about this in this much detail until now. There are a million reasons why LU is maybe not an objectively incredible game. And I don't think that's necessarily controversial to say, but... Yeah, I'd not really thought until now of it was kind of forced to be that a little bit, or at least maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. because I mean there are like LU is a well-regarded game, but also it is a limited game. I think it's one of those games which is really made by its community. And I know people are really huge fans of like the Traveller's Tale Lego games, for instance. I mean, I remember playing those. I didn't have anything that could play those as a kid, but I do remember going around to a friend's house and playing Lego Indiana Jones. Like, I 100% do have memories of those from my childhood, but they've never been something that I've been really excited in going back to. And also, to me, half of the fun of most of those games was playing them with my friends. I was enjoying the fact that we were just messing around on this video game, and to be honest, I was enjoying the novelty of playing a video game, because again, throughout a lot of my childhood, I didn't really get to spend all that much time on video games, especially in like primary school. My mom had a half an hour a day on the computer rule, which is why it's terrifying to think how much time I spend on the computer now. But yeah, so I have like these very positive associations with the Traveller's Tale games, but not for any reason to do with the gameplay. So I'd be interested in knowing, yeah, did people who played Traveller's Tale games, what was it that really, like, or who still do, like, people who aren't just nostalgic for them, but perhaps still play them, what is it that keeps you around? Is it kind of in LU, is it the gameplay itself you find enjoyable, or is it more of an LU vibe of what LU is for me, of you like breaking a game, you like having, yeah, kind of just breaking a game open, understanding it, I'm so happy I made that, understanding it in its entirety, etc., etc. Did I pay enough attention? Okay, I did. Yeah. An interesting other thing earlier today, we found someone who had, so occasionally this happens, and I quite often get called in when it does, and because I find it really fun, but occasionally we'll find someone has been cheating on a server. It's happened, I can think of a couple of cheating instances, and normally gets caught pretty quickly. And what happens when we find someone's discovered a new exploit is a bunch of us come together and start trying to work out how was this done, try and reverse engineer what it was they did, and it's quite a lot of fun. And we discovered recently, earlier today, an exploit which had essentially, yeah, someone had managed to get a ton of money, and we don't know how they did it. Which is kind of fun. What we know is that it was done absolutely ages ago. They haven't logged in since, but we actually have no clue how it was done. And one of the pieces of information that we started looking at was, I've got to try and not go into too much detail, because who knows, maybe we don't actually discover how it's done. I should say, for anyone thinking about doing this, what's happened after this particular eventuality is Emo's just adding so much more logging to almost anything that can generate money, so we will know in future, we know kind of, this has steadily been a game of just adding things to logs which are useful to watch for, so we can work out exactly what's been going on. But it's been a fun challenge because, okay, those logging features weren't implemented, this person is now banned, but those features weren't implemented back then, and it's us trying to work out what they did. And it was one fun thing that I really enjoyed is trying to work out when exactly in the game they started cheating. So we know, for instance, they at least began what it was they were doing, like very, very early on into the character. I won't give too much information about that, but we know roughly that the first cheat they did, a more minor, not entirely, happened right when they arrived in Avant Gardens, more or less. But that wasn't the main cheat which started getting them a ton of money. And so we're then trying to sit down, work out what it is, and it was really fun. The one thing that I started delving into is what we do have as pieces of information, we've got server logs which contain some stuff, but I'm also not really qualified to delve too deeply into those. That's more of Emo's area. So instead, I was just looking at all the player stats which get tracked and trying to work out what I can from there. And it's really good fun because you can see, looking at the stats, that, okay, this player went through Venture Explorer basically normally. Like, you can kind of tell that based on the number of coins collected, the number of quick builds. And that's what actually got me thinking about this story right there, as I skipped the quick build in Venture Explorer. And, like, that would look so suspicious if we were trying to, if we were auditing my accounts. Like, how did bro manage to skip the quick? I don't know, okay, we know the answer to that, but it's, in general, that would look so suspicious. Like, if we'd seen that, we might have concluded someone teleported, but actually, wait a second, no, we do know that there is a way of just skipping the quick builds in Venture Explorer, but that makes me happy to think that now this character, because I probably, most likely, just realistically, this character will not last long enough to do Return to Venture Explorer. That's just incredibly unlikely, knowing how these runs tend to go. So I just love the idea that, yep, I've been to Venture Explorer once, I built 0 quick builds, I left. That just makes me happy. But yeah, it was kind of good fun, yeah, trying to break down some, like, noticing, like, you couldn't, it's just fun because you've got so little information, but you can still work out a little bit about what people have spent their time doing. And yeah, that was quite good fun. But I love the idea of someone looking back at some of these accounts and just being like, what was that person spending their time on? But to be fair, you could probably identify, if you, like, unlabeled some of my accounts, I imagine you could probably identify quite well. I'm not paying attention to what I'm buying. But you could probably, I think someone who knows me could probably quite easily identify quite a few of my accounts. Because they come in a couple of flavors. One is the, like, insane game time, but is absolutely broke and has, like, very, very low collected coins based on the amount of time spent, but still you can tell that I'm spending a lot of time moving about the world. And, like, similarly with not even just coins spent, but number of things smashed as well, that's going to be much, much lower. Although then again, on certain characters, damage dealt will actually be high because from things like trying to destroying the candles in Forbidden Valley. Because I don't know if I did publish that here. I ever mentioned it, but for BLU's Hardcore Spooky League event, which I stand by isn't real hardcore. This is a proper hardcore challenge. But that's just permanent. That's permanent death, and you lose item. No, not permanent death. Sorry, you lose items when you die, and so it's significantly different rule set to this one, because otherwise you can equip anything, and like I say, no permadeath significantly changes the game. But yeah, on one of the characters on there, I'm sure it would have had some wild stats because I probably would have deleted the account, or I certainly would have offered to delete the account, but I spent so long on one of the accounts on there with I basically speed ran getting my rank 2 Space Ranger Blaster, and then just committed fully to I'm going to sit in front of these candles. I think I sat in front of those candles it was definitely over an hour. It may have been over 2. I just had a podcast on in my ears. I'm doing quite well for Maelstrom Bricks, to be honest. Like, I noticed I was getting some good drop luck there, but that's nice. Let's not die. Let's not die, as I say. This is, yeah. But yeah, so I'm sure the stats for that would be absolutely wild, because it's like, has dealt so much damage, but has killed far fewer enemies. Because I don't think those would even register as enemies, right? I don't know necessarily how enemies are tracked, but I know by accident previously, in previous versions of LU, it was just anything with a destructible component in early DLU, and that was definitively fixed. So I don't know if that's still the case. The other thing, which you're going to see here, and I think this is just kind of inevitable, is me just being significantly worse than I was in my last run. And the reason I'm going to argue it's kind of inevitable is just I have like the incentive to, well, not really the incentive, but as in, I don't know, as you get more used to this, I think I've discussed this in previous videos, but kind of as I get more used to the game and the challenge of this, I feel less and less obliged to, or there's less and less pressure on me because I know I can just always reset again. And that's not really a great thing, but it is definitely an effect that I have noticed happens. That I'll start with a really good run. In fact, I was discussing an analogy to this in the previous video. I don't think I ever finished, to Bop It, whereby I remember as a kid playing that game. If you haven't played it, it's basically, you have a thing you're holding and there are like 4 or 5 different things you can do to it. You can, yeah. So it was, original Bop It was 3, I think. The one I had was 4. You could also shout at the little controller you had. And it's basically just not even really a rhythm game, but it just tells you, bop it, you hit the little circle in the center. Twist it, you twist the little thing on the right. Pull it, you twist the little thing, you pull the little thing on the left. Shout it, you shout at the thing on the top. And you just have to do it within a certain time of them telling you what to do. And if you do, you survive. And it's just, can you make 100 of them? And I remember, if I played that back to back, I would get significantly worse scores than if I played it, just picked it up for the first time in months. Like, if I picked it up for the first time in months, I would pretty reliably be able to get the challenge I used to do was the full 300, because there wasn't really, if I recall correctly, there wasn't an endless mode. So what would happen is you'd go, I don't remember if it was called beginner, it might have been called normal, but then you'd go, basically the 3 modes were normal, expert, and master, and you would, if you did 100 in normal, you could just rest on your laurels, but there was also a thing, it would also just say, press bop it to keep going, and so I would then keep going, and you'd complete each level after you did 100, and each one would get faster. I think it also got faster whilst you played, I don't remember that. But at any rate, yeah, I would try and go for 300, and I would pretty reliably, on my first time playing for months, get the 300 pretty easily, and then it would just... But if I failed, and then tried again, I would have difficulty getting my first 100, for instance. Oh yeah, and then if you completed Master, it would say, you beat Bop It, and it would play a nice jingle. But yeah, why am I actually doing this? I said I'm doing this because I got distracted and started talking, but in my head I wasn't going to do this. I didn't plan on doing a really long run. I mean, the nice thing, right, with this, so I kind of did work out the strategy, because how this game works and how you optimize it has changed quite a lot over the time I've been playing DLU, so it was kind of coming back to this the other day. Okay, this is bad. I do kind of want to survive long enough to tell you about this now I've started. So let's actually survive. But yeah, coming back to this, it was kind of like, okay, let's relearn how to do this. I mean, the basic strategy is still the same. Like, you're still running around in a circle. But one interesting thing is the spiderlings have gone better at hitting you. The mechs still kind of suck, but the spiderlings have gone better at hitting you. So the real strategy is there is a spawn cap in Avant-Garde and Survival. It's a Baton Infestation. Which I guess technically there is, or you wouldn't really call it that because they're just set waves. But yeah, there's a spawn cap here, so you can just, it's not like enemies will keep spawning forever, and the thing is, Stromlings and Spiderlings don't have infinite range. So they you can, if you stay in the center, they will never notice you. And the Stromling mechs, if you just go around in a circle, eventually, because there's a certain number that can spawn, they will just stop spawning. We might be hitting that soon. I don't know if we have yet. But the thing is, from that point, so there's a point where they begin to kind of overwhelm you, and you did see that earlier with me, where it was kind of, I was running in between a ton of mechs, and that's quite dangerous. But what's quite nice is they will always pathfind towards you, and if you just run in a circle, kind of I guess, no, you probably can prove that as long as you're, like, moving faster than them, and they're always taking steps towards you, they'll always end up. Okay, if they were moving at a continuous speed, they would always end up moving in like a continuous circle at the center, whatever. That's actually that'd be a kind of interesting question to set my undergrads at some point, to be honest. But yeah, it's quite nice to just on this that eventually they all just get clumped up in the center, and they just can't hit you if you run in a circle around them when they're all clumped up, and no more can spawn. So it becomes a significantly less interesting game at this point. Okay, one thing I do need to remember this time that I forgot last... I mean, this is way in the future, but I do need to be a little bit more careful with my money than I sometimes am. And I can get a little bit more money if I go for the... Ultimate Survivor. I think that's the achievement, the 10 minutes. But also, that's kind of boring. And I was not planning on doing more than the 1 minute here, so I think I just die on the 5 minute mark. And we'll double check, but I'm pretty certain that does not count towards a death in the passport if you die in a mini game like this. Also, I love how tight a circle I can do around these guys. I think also, notably, the tighter a circle you do around them, the okay, let's not get cocky. The tighter a circle you do around them, the more it clumps them up as well. Which I guess actually there's a kind of fun. Okay, mathematically, there's a really fun scale invariance argument you can make that says that has to be the case. Because there are only 3 numbers which are important to the problem of what circle size do they fall into. One of those numbers, well, one of those numbers is the circle size they fall into. One of the numbers is the radius you're no. One of the numbers is the radius you're going at. One of the numbers is their velocity. One of the numbers is your velocity. But note, if you're kind of just looking, note that you have velocities, and velocities can give you distances, but only if you have a time in your problem. And there is no, like, characteristic time in your problem, really. Aside from the time that it takes you to go around a circle in your loop, but that gets you into that's a time derived from the other 2 things we have. And this is happening again. This happened earlier. And I was really... This happened earlier when I tried to go to Crux Prime. I had, like, a nice long session. Everything works out nicely. And then the game did this to me. And I don't know what causes this, but I should get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, this is the second time today I've caught on video this happening, which is quite nice. It's also kind of nice that this happened on me leaving a world with tons of enemies and coming back to a world with tons of enemies, because previously it was kind of... I've noticed sometimes these lag spikes... Did the lag spike just dissipate? No, it didn't. Definitely didn't. I'm just interested that it let me accept the mission that quickly. But, wow. And we've got a crate enjoyer. Let's... I don't think anyone other than... There's a chance that bus going up and down is just to do with the fact that I'm really heavily lagging. But there's also quite a high chance, especially given there's someone in a crate down there, that people are having a bit of fun messing around today. Also, I think there's a really good chance that this Stromling just comes up and kills me. I also really want to send this message, because I think we've got Cook hiding behind the rocks here. Can I clip inside? If I go quickly enough, I can kind of clip the camera inside. Don't see anyone. Maybe that is just me. But I don't trust it, because I know Cook has taken the opportunity to troll people before with the if you don't know, the position of the bus is determined by people, is determined by when people move through certain points, and in particular so you can trigger it by moving back and forth. In fact, I might be doing it right now. No? It's really hard to know. Did that just disappear? Either I'm right, in which case cool, or I'm wrong, in which case no one has to know. Anyway, if this is going to keep going, this lag... No, it might not be. Let's try. Let's go back out. No one stops me. But I mean, nothing says a bunch of people memeing more than this time Bob being out there and someone in a crate. I don't know what happened there. That's kind of weird. With the game lagging out and suddenly unlagging, but I guess this kind of says that the game can just stop being weird. Like when you get this server latency, apparently that can just stop. I don't think I've ever sat around and... Had I not been trying to counter mess with Cook, because I think I thought he's hiding in the rocks. I guess I actually... Wait a second. Yeah, it wasn't Cook. It was just it going weird. Or he logged out. I'm going to choose to believe he logged out for the sake of not looking stupid in a YouTube video. Although, I think we both know that's me and the one other person who's going to view this, statistically. We both know that I don't care about that. If I cared about that, when I clipped my camera through and saw there was no one there, I probably wouldn't have committed to blaming Cook. But it's also a fun opportunity. Like there were just fun things about the game like that, which like they're just a thing. You can just do that. You can just hide out of bounds and permanently whack a bus down on the heads of people passing by. Like you can just do that. That's in the game. I think there's a fair chance that could even be live accurate. Cook is here, dear God, no. Yeah, I think I might be being roasted now. I also think, normally, I try to ensure people, like, if I'm doing these ones, I try to ensure people have no idea who I am, and I thought I was going to be logging off after this, because, like, I figured the game wasn't working. Whereas now, I may have just blown my cover a little bit. But that's fine, it's still... Well, I was going to say it's relatively plausible that this is Idefix, not me, because Idefix would also do something like this. But... at the same time, like the reason I don't say this isn't because big fancy YouTuber. It's just the fact that like there are friends on here who will kind of mess with me. And in Avant Gardens that's kind of fine, but in general, it's kind of if I've set aside time to do a hardcore LU run, it's kind of. I would like to... Yeah, it's... They will mess with me and it'll be fine, but I don't always want to muddy the waters of... Like, part of this is you're not meant to team up with anyone, right? Because it's really... Hardcore you is not a challenge if you're teaming up with everyone. If you're allowed to get outside help. But it's also, I do sometimes just start new characters also to mess with people, so my friends have no way of knowing whether Ninja coming on a low-level character is Ninja smurfing, or whether it's Ninja actually doing a hardcore LU run. I guess and sometimes I do just ask. But it's often... I also feel bad if, like, if the squad's out and I'm kind of saying no. But, like, sometimes... So I kind of I don't say always. So kind of like, I feel bad. Well, especially at the moment, I'm hiding from people because I promised I'd work on a server mod, and I'm currently playing Hardcore LU instead of working on a server mod. That's the most honest reason I'm currently hiding from people, and currently not just saying that, but also, yeah, it's just easier because none of my friends would try and make me lose the challenge. None of them would do that. None of them would try to interfere with me in any significant way. They wouldn't really be very good friends if they did, but it's more just I prefer to like limit my interactions with any other player on this run, just because like I feel that kind of takes a little bit out of the it's really hardcore, but okay, well some guy just actually cleared that ape that was ahead of him, so does that really count? To be honest, I felt bad running past an ape that some player happened to be fighting the other day. Just on the basis that, like, that just feels like cheating. I've somehow managed to go from, I'm going to sit and listen to a YouTube video during this, and so I probably won't talk much, to, okay, I guess I'm just doing a normal video now. I began to say that at the start as well, of like, I mean, friends in real life won't be surprised about this, but it's just a weird thing of how, like, oh yeah, I guess I can just turn on, I will be talking non-stop for the next 2 hours, part of my brain. And that's, I really should have been more careful. How did that guy not aggro onto me? Genuinely. That's confusing. I mean, I'm certainly not going to complain. But I am also autopiloting way too hard here. I should not be in this fight right now. It will be fine, but I should not have taken that fight. That was stupid. And this is the little bit of this is why I maybe even very specifically should actively try and not record videos chatting at this in the first half, because I'm going to distract myself. And in this case, I'm meant to be going and getting all the heart flags. Which, let's see, how many left on the monument? Probably 4. That number being as low as it is doesn't make me hugely happy. Like, if, like, we have things there which are, like, halfway completed. Although, honestly, something about that looks like it's under halfway to me. But are there... I guess that just means I have... Actually, how many flags are there in Avant Gardens? I don't actually know. It might... If it's 8, maybe that actually makes sense. We've got 1 at the start, 2 in Spider Cave, 1 by Ruins, Paradox, and then I was guessing there are 4 up here because we've got... Oh yeah, I forgot. Because we've got the 1 jumping down from the road, we've got the 1 on Bob's arm, we've got the 1 in Bob's back pocket, and we have the 1 just beneath the imagination bricks. That is at least 4. So, okay, there are other missions. I'm 50% of the way through. And actually, that may just change here. Well, okay, we've just upped Avant Gardens Achiever. But yeah, there are other missions that I'm part of the way. Why am I walking this? I'm walking this way around because this is the route for the... for the pickup parts from the monument. But also, I don't need to do that. And I'm now messing up relatively easy jumps as I try and get myself back on track. Yeah. Okay. That was... There was just this period where I spent quite a lot of time. Is there a reason? Okay, I guess there is kind of a reason to go around there, actually. Because it does get me this flag faster. And I don't think I'd naturally get this... Because bear in mind, I didn't know you could... When I first... So, years ago... spent a while coming up with a route for what I call the Hearts and Imagination speedrun, which is basically get all the heart flags, get the Imagination brick and Avant Gardens. I think that's quite an interesting speedrun challenge, because, like, you can't get out of Avant Garden. I'm being followed by a box. I'm probably not being followed, but it is funny. But, like, yeah, you can't get out of Avant Gardens all that quickly. Like, wait, there are 10 flags? Wait, I'm now really confused. Wait, what? How many flags have I got in here yet? Did I do Bob's arm? Wait, I'm so confused. What? Avant Gardens Flag Hunter, 10 flags. My instincts just being to slash die so like whenever I see someone, so nearly killed this run. I'm also, the fact that I went for this jump is outing me so hard. Well, not outing me necessarily as me, but certainly outing me as myself or Idefix. No one else is going to go for that. But yeah, wait, I'm now really confused. Where are all the flags? And why didn't... Because I swear I only just got 4 up there, right? No, I got 5 because I got the one on the platform, because I forget the one on the platform exists. Okay, sure. Yes, this makes sense. But that also means there's one here that I forgot about when I was counting up earlier as well, which is still messing. Which one did I forget here? Oh, I forgot the one outside the front of the Paradox base. Wait, what? I did say that they'd probably just assume it was Idefix. You know what? And the fact that I didn't, like, if they already figured it was Idefix, the fact that I did that jump isn't going to change that. If it was anyone else, it might. But the fact that it's Idefix, they think I am, like, yes, Idefix would have done that jump. Although, honestly, Idefix pretends better when he's smurfing. When he's trying to mess with people. He wouldn't, if I recall correctly, he cares enough about the bits that he would not be doing, like, well-timed double jumps for movements like I am. He commits a little bit harder. Well, because my primary aim here is not just to commit to the bit, it is actually to get a good hardcore LU run going. Or not necessarily even a good one. I could fight this guy, but it's one of those things where I want to get, if I'm going to try and do more of these runs again, I want to get into the habit of not taking unnecessary fights. Or not taking unnecessary risks, and taking that fight would be a very unnecessary risk. I could probably win it. I probably would win it. Apparently I'm taking it anyway. Nice. That's really not an ideal sequence of moves. And I need to run. Yeah, this is why we don't take... Like, okay, technically, is that something I can win? Yes. Have I won? Like, this is what... So, if you haven't watched the old versions of Hardcore LU, I have played this challenge on so many different versions of LEGO Universe over the years. Like, this was a challenge I did on LCDRU before LCDRU had any enemy movement, for instance. You would think that would make it really easy. I promise you it didn't. Because whilst it didn't have any enemy movement, it also didn't have 100% accurate skill tree implementation, which means that things like Spiderlings would just... They just wouldn't get stunned when you'd attack them. So, I mean, it was nice, I guess, because it made them very, very, very predictable. Like, I knew exactly when they were going to attack me, but it also meant I had such a limited, like, window of timings where I could attack them and be safe, and if I messed that up once... And, like, as I was running to and fro, they would try to take... They would take shots at me. Like, it was still pretty... It's pretty difficult. It's kind of been, as I've gone through, then I did maybe even a couple on Uchu. Then I did, then obviously DLU. But, like, even the different versions of DLU's enemy AI. Like, I can... If there's nothing else, like, this gave me an appreciation for all the small changes that have happened. I probably couldn't list them now as well as I once could, but, like, there were times when I could very, very, very viscerally feel all of the changes they'd added to the AI, just because, like, it would throw off exactly how I'd fight these. And, I mean, for ages, this bug sprayer didn't work. I guess I should have led with that, perhaps. Because it's just such a small part of the game, and why would you ever worry about it when you have the trial assembly gear to wear? Like, you have this gear, why not use it? And if you do use it, you aren't spending time building those. And I guess maybe this would have been more of a thing back in Live, back when there was, free to play. And so there were tons of people who couldn't leave Avant Gardens. Then you probably did need some way to fight spiderlings with replayability. But again, I imagine as a kid, you're probably not that patient. Like, you probably you can get decent stats here. Like, if you're getting weapons, you've got the exceptional Morning Star, you've got a decent amount of armor. Like, what, you can get... I imagine you can get... I mean, no, wait a second, you've got a helmet which does at least... Yeah, okay, if we just look at what I have now, I could tank 2 damage with Sentinel Shield, get 1 extra armor with Card Shark Shirt, 1 extra armor with Prismatic Baseball Cap. It won't be long before I get Metal Leg Solid, if I'm going through the game. Normally I forget how I get that, but in principle it wouldn't take that long. So, like, yeah, I can imagine you still... This is probably, like... For people who aren't doing challenges, this is probably one of the most underutilized features of the game, even more so now we don't have people doing free-to-play. But also, the huge thing I'm forgetting is, oh yeah, teams. In principle, back in Live, if you wanted to fight these, you could just probably get a bunch of people to join you and team up with you. So, yeah, I don't know, that feels like I really appreciate that they do have, like, different ways of handling enemies in lots of areas. It's just they're never going to be used. Because it's a classic, like, the stealth mechanic in video games thing. If you give people the option to fight, they normally will take it just because that's easier and that's what they're kind of expecting to need to do. That's kind of what we get conditioned to expect we're going to have to do in video games, and then when we get the option to, that's what we go for. Are you going to attack that or attack me? I don't know. Bro just decides he was going to hang out nearby it, but not do anything else. Sure. I guess. That was a... First time I've had a moment where I'm like, dang, I might actually die to my trackpad. What's the new trackpad? That was terrifying. But yeah, began to start saying this earlier, but yeah, it's because I've never really played many games. So earlier today, not earlier today. This weekend has been. I spent too much time at my laptop this weekend. Okay, is it fighting the? It is fighting the thing actually. That's interesting. But yes, my brain melding times as one. But yes, earlier yesterday, I finally booted up. So something I wanted to do with this new laptop is I bought a couple of games last Christmas, and yeah, a long time since I played games which weren't very much like make your own fun kind of games. And yeah, like I got Portal 1, Portal 2 because like they're games that really, me being me, I should have played. Mirror's Edge and Titanfall. Basically, you may notice a pattern here in terms of games I've bought in the past few years. I've got Portal and Portal 2. Makes sense with me being, who I am and the way that I am. Those games I should have. I've got Celeste, Mirror's Edge, Catalyst, Titanfall. It's like, okay, cool. Or sorry, Titanfall 2. It's like, yeah, I very much I found there is a style of game I quite enjoy, and it is I am moving everywhere very quickly, and it's very fun and very responsive, and I am just going to play this kind of game, I guess. If I get the option. But yeah, but I also I'd kind of been waiting until I got this laptop to play some of those. Just because, like, well, I thought I might want to record, especially Portal in particular, although I might want to record, at the very least, just to have me trying the levels, have the footage of that, especially if there are funny moments or whatever, especially given how many friends have, like, suggested I play it at various points in time. I think you're going to be out of range. No, you're not. Let's get both of you, right? Yes. But yeah, so having gone my laptop and finally gotten Streamlabs set up, yeah, oh no, this is bad. No, I shouldn't have run back. I should not have run back. This is okay. That's good game sense there. I mean, it was not game sense to have run back, but at least to pull back when I did, that was the correct option. Why am I messing these up, though? Is it because I'm talking and I'm getting a little bit more distracted? Or is there another reason? Because that was... It also... The last one, I didn't notice this as it was happening last time. I didn't have the timing I wanted to. I think it's because I'm not... It's because Okay, I was waiting until they flipped over. Because I was autopiloting, my brain was looking for a very obvious sign that I was safe to run in. And so I was waiting until they flipped over, and if I wait until they flip over, that's a little bit too long. Okay, cool. I've got to just trust and run forward the second I've built it. That is a little bit scarier when there's a risk that one of them might be out of range and might just, or out of range of the thing and might just attack me the second I get in its range. But sure. But yeah, basically, I've recorded like my start of Mirror's Edge, and basically I thought I'd just put it up. Is that something? Like, the point of this channel is Ninja Warlog, right? Me, without loss of generality. That's what the Warlog stands for. I'm not trying to have a channel that is specifically a news channel to tell you about all things LEGO Universe. This is just me messing around doing things I enjoy. That's why fairly early on, I'm fairly certain I had a video explaining a project I was doing on ferrofluids and why that was cool. Like, I haven't done anywhere near it. I initially thought this might springboard off into me doing more science content on this channel, and then I decided that felt weird, and I put the science content elsewhere. But I think I ran too soon for this guy as well. Yeah, well, that works out fine. And we're done. Nice. But yeah, so I've kind of got probably a couple of videos of Mirror's Edge ready now that I'm just going to put on to because I need to get better at doing this to put on overnight to upload because I forgot to do that last night because they just kind of, whilst I'm uploading the video, they just knock out my internet, so it's like I prefer to do that whilst I'm asleep. Fortunately, my flatmate has left for Christmas, so I don't need to worry about knocking out the internet for her, because she does tend to have slightly less regimented hours in terms of bedtime than I do. Although I've been getting worse recently, to be honest. Okay, cool. So I need to... I mean, I don't need to start thinking about money now, but it wouldn't necessarily hurt to. So, right. I mean, this is one thing I love about this challenge. There is never a question of should I sell something. The answer is almost always yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was the to follow up the bit I was saying earlier though about the well, tons of enemies do have ways to make fighting them easier. So I don't know if the Spider Queen, if it was intended for you to be able to. Oh, how many? That's annoying. I don't know how many bricks I got there. I don't know if it was intended. I suspect it wasn't for you to be able to prevent the spiderling spawning in by killing the by smashing the eggs. Sorry. Let's buy what I need now. And we'll deal with chatter in a second. I also never got even close to being low on lives, or low on healing potions last game, or healing kits rather. So I should bear that in mind when buying up now. I probably need to worry about it less than I have in the past. Honestly, I ran out of Quixicles far more often than I did before. But let's not get too overconfident. Because you know what? Last time, if you didn't see that one, basically I got to do Forbidden Valley. I got to the point of buying tough buff sources, and I had enough for like, I think it was 60, but it was, I want to say it was 63 in the end. I don't quite remember. It decreased last minute. Well, it increased and decreased last minute as I decided to smash a couple of extra crates, and then also bought a couple of bricks for a later mission. For a later mission that in retrospect I realise I will never be given, because I don't think anyway. I think a prerequisite to the Free the Ninja mission is to talk to bro at the top of the Great Tree, whatever his name is, Numshut. Which I'm not going to do. Ever, because I can't get up there. Or at least No, I don't think I currently do have a way of getting up there. Like, one thing with spring shoes is, yes, I can infinitely height gain with spring shoes in principle. I mean, in practice it's still very difficult, but in principle that is a trick I can do. However, even in theory, I don't think I can infinite height gain with without a weapon. Like, I don't think there is any method I've worked out yet which lets me infinite height gain with only without equipping any other items. It would have to be like a full consumables method, and I can't imagine one would exist, to be honest, because it would need to be a consumable which like made me attack, like actually, not just, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about how a lot of consumables work. I mean, that is true. I am also piloting way too hard. It's just I just began to just do the monument. That's 3 noted. Cool. But yeah, so I go in circles with conversations. I mean, this is the downside of it not being a conversation, of it essentially being a monologue, because I have no one to keep track of what it was I was saying before. But yes, in terms of like things to fight to make areas easier, like for the road, like you do technically have these stealth-esque options in lots of areas. You don't really have them in Crux Prime. Maybe you can argue that's all Ninjago, and maybe there's a thought of that's later. That's because they're later worlds, or to be fair, even the World Builder League stuff. But again, very obvious reasons why the World Builder League may have had very, very different design parameters from everything else in LU. And then this is the reason this route is in my mind, because this is the route I normally take to scare off the birds. I wonder if actually I could do a tiny shortcut there by jumping to the spire underneath the hand. I don't know, just not falling there would be great. Both times I've fallen there in this run. That's disappointing. That's fine. Running up and around here should still get me the remaining birds I need, because normally there are enough up here to finish it off. Yeah, easily enough. But yeah, like, you can go through Forbidden Valley by smashing all the Ronin statues, so you never have to fight Ronin, and then by rebuilding the weird shrine gun things that prevent more horsemen spawning. Then you can go through autopilot's did not remember to equip a speed boost. Yeah, then you can go through Gnarled Forest by building the statues to stun things, and then rebuilding the fences to keep admirals out. Although, again, why you would ever build those fences are so hard to build, because an admiral will just respawn on you in the time you're building the fence. I guess they are far far more designed for teams. So you've got the Sentinel tanking damage, and then someone else builds it. But they do just make me laugh a little bit as they go. You know what? I'm going to keep the trend up, and also allow myself to upload more things in parallel. And I'm going to cut the recording here and go again. Bye.